Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim here. I'm releasing this little shorter video in the day here for those of you who seem to enjoy the shorter content. The regular video will still be released at the scheduled time later on this evening. So this article here is from thecryptobasic.com and it's titled Ripple CTO outlines 3 reasons not to hold XRP in automated market makers. It says here, Ripple CTO Davis Schwartz recently outlined 3 potential risks of holding XRP in automated market maker. When asked how much of his XRP tokens he intends to hold in the forthcoming AMM set to go live on the XRP ledger, Schwartz made this disclosure. He said, probably 1/3 and 1/4. Let's go to the actual tweet because they cut it off there. Probably between 1/3 and 1/4. There are really only 3 reasons not to hold your XRP in automated market makers. Number 1, there could be an implementation bug in the automated market maker code that causes you to lose money, a low risk but non-zero. Number 2, there has to be some other asset that you are also exposed to. For example, if you pick XRP/USD automated market maker, you are exposed to the risk that the USD issuer you pick may collapse or fail. Number 3, if XRP increases in price rapidly, keep this in mind, you will be selling the whole way up. So you won't gain as much as you would if you just held XRP. In compensation, you won't lose as much if it drops a lot. And you may profit from volatility and market making. All right. So now let's go back to the article. And then it continues. Of course, I think everyone knows what an automated market maker is, but if they don't, let's read this little tidbit here. It says, an automated market maker is a decentralized exchange that uses mathematical algorithms to determine the price of traded assets. Traders can trade their assets directly with a liquidity pool, a pool of funds contributed by other traders without relying on a central authority. Ripple unveiled a native automated market maker for XRPL in July 2022. With the launch of the XRPL automated market maker drawing closer, Schwartz revealed that he plans to hold, they reiterate. I don't know why they do that sometimes. They reiterate what they already said at the beginning. All right, so there you have it. So now let's move on to another article here. All right. So this article is from CoinDesk.com and it's titled Tokenization is the killer app for TradFi. In other words, tokenization is going to take over. We continue to have these big banks like JP Morgan, on and on. We continue to have these like Citi. Citi was the other one, another one that recently was talking about tokenization. But we continue to see these large financial institutions speaking positively about tokenization, and they continue to use the word trillions. Now, who's at the forefront of tokenization as of right now, factually speaking? I would think Algorand is there. They have a great NFT, the great tokenization ecosystem. Hedera is definitely there. They have a great NFT and tokenization ecosystem of all, XRP definitely can make a splash, right? So, I mean, most of the bank coins, I believe, will assist in some way in moving that capital, because one of the main points to tokenization is to render otherwise illiquid assets liquid, and you can move that value quickly. And of course, it's easier to make sales, right? Not only that, but the tokenization of certain commodities and corridors that are not easily accessed by the legacy system also makes it a delicious offering and adds to those trillions. That's something I think a lot of people are not seeing. The access to certain corridors and commodities that can be tokenized and have that value moving across chain. Now, who has the most corridors in places that the legacy system does not? Well, if we go in that aspect, we're talking about XRP. We're talking about Hedera, factually speaking. We're talking about Algorand and Stellar. Throw Stellar in there as well. They have done a great job of setting up corridors in places where others have not. But let's continue on here. Let's read this little tidbit here. It says, JP Morgan Chase, the largest U.S. bank in terms of assets, remains steadfast in its plan to tokenize traditional financial assets, largely undeterred by the crypto bear market and regulatory uncertainty. Now, wait a minute. I know what you're thinking. JP Morgan has this system that they built and they propped up. Here's the thing. They're going to need they're going to need interoperability. We know who they're associated with the most. There's a lot of contention in the world. They're going to need someone to glue these systems together, bring them interoperability. They're going to need bridge currencies. Then we have to keep an eye on fiat. How is fiat going to be doing? How's the dollar going to be doing? I'm telling you now, I've been covering this a lot. The dollar is not doing very well. If the dollar's value is greatly diminished, then where do they get liquidity from? There will be a lot of things rendered illiquid. Then there's also the problem of raising interest rates. Are they going to pause interest rates? Then on top of that, keep in mind, if they continue to raise interest rates, which I believe that they will, but you have Janet Yellen saying they may pause interest rates in June. But if they continue to raise interest rates, then bonds are going to continue to get destroyed. So then they're losing capital in that way as well. So once again, it comes back to a liquidity, everyone. Where do they get that from? Listen, XRP, XLM, Algorand, I don't know if they're going to actually capitalize on this. I think that they will, and they should. They can create the biggest liquidity pools, liquidity cushions mankind has ever seen, and it's going to be needed. What's better than having a product that you know is going to be needed to solve a necessary problem that's coming in the future rapidly? I'm trying to make this video shorter, so I'm throwing the information. I'm at my best when I take my time, but then this will be a 30-minute video like usual. So my apologies. But yeah, so you got to keep your eye on this. Then on top of that, you're going to have a lot of different commodity values being moved around through tokenization. That's more trillions, right? You're definitely going to need interoperability for that, because now we saw that there was a country, I covered this article recently, there's a country that's backing their digital asset. Well, they're trying to do this with the value of, what was it, grain or wheat, something like that. And it's brilliant. I told you they were going to do that. So now we have countries working on, well, we already had a country test it out, backing their commodity with oil. So I showed you the article. It was in South America. We have that. Now we have a country trying to back their digital asset with grain or wheat, something like that. And it just makes perfect sense to me. That's what you specialize in. You should not put yourself at the mercy of someone else. Like for instance, purchasing gold, like how much of a percentage do you put on top of that gold? I mean, they're in control of that percentage they put on top of it to mine it and then ship it out. I mean, you should use what your country specializes in, and it's just an equal value. $5 a grain. Okay, we're just looking at that $5 value. $5 a grain, $5 a gold. You see digital asset. We can exchange value and interact with each other. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. Tell me if you think differently down in the comment section. All right, so let's continue on here. My apologies. I'm trying to give you as much as I can. And save time. It says the bank has, so that's what I'm saying. So it says the bank has processed almost $700 billion in transactions in short-term loans using its Onyx digital assets platform. So that's what I'm saying. So they're going to need interoperability, liquidity, all of these different things, mechanisms, access to other corridors. There's no way that they're going to leave money sitting on the table. There's just things right now the legacy system can't do. They made their best effort to catch up, but they have not caught up. That's on them. That's their problem. We're still way out ahead as far as technological advancement. And I think that's only going to increase. We're holding a lot of things back. So yeah, so that's going to play a key role. So let them continue to salivate and drool over tokenization, and then they're going to bring that money right to us, theoretically speaking. So now let's go on to this next article here. All right. So this article is from raltechwire.com, and it's titled Recession Bell Continues to Ring. Let's read this little tidbit here. It says, new economic data for North Carolina's economy point more strongly to a recession after a drop in monthly index of economic indicators compiled by NC State economist Dr. Mike Walden. It says, quote, hold on, he warns. Quote, the recession bell continues to ring. It just got louder. Unquote. Walden notes in the NCSU index of North Carolina leading economic indicators. The data is for March, and Walden points out the index is down, quote, down 2.5% from February. It's also down 5.8% from February 2022. Quote, the news is not good for the state's leading economic index. I expect to hear similar things from other states. We'll see if they actually put that information out. Unquote. It says here, he declared, I know I did that unquote a little bit late. My apologies. It says, he declared in an email, quote, there appear to be three options for the near future economy: slow growth, no growth, or negative growth. Woo. Let's hope door number one, slow growth, is the one that eventually opens, right? It says the report is designed to forecast the direction of North Carolina economy, and Walden doesn't like what he's seeing. As I said before, I use this and I just take this and I put it with all the other information that indicates that, listen, what we're going into is like a light version of a depression. You look at all the layoffs that are happening. You look at all the capital that has been lost. You look at all the different deposits that are fleeing the banks, right? People are holding more cash. They're holding more value in gold. I mean, you know, there's so many different things going on. You look at the possibility of the diminishing of the value of the dollar because of the BRICS nations, which they just had a meeting, some sort of meeting or event a few days ago. I covered that, didn't I? And 19 countries, 19 have expressed interest on joining the BRICS nations. If all of them were to do dollar dumping and, you know, transact in their local currencies, which I think at this point would be highly logical, they're all, and there's article after article being released about the weaponization of the dollar. Just take a little Google search and you'll find that. The weaponization of the dollar. So you have all of that going on. So then you have to always look at the dollar and say, you have at this point, you have to be a visionary at this point, and you have to have some foresight. All right. However you want to phrase that, and say to yourself, OK, 2 to 3 years from now, what is the value of the dollar going to be? How much is it going to be diminished? How serious are they of dethroning the dollar and running a parallel financial system with the established Western financial system? And an article the other day said that China, and you can look this up for yourself, it said China sees it as well, how did they phrase it? It's like a national, like they see the dollar as like a national threat, or it's a threat to their national security, something like that. They were speaking very powerfully. So, I mean, then you have to question the seriousness of the acceleration of de-dollarization, right? With the BRICS nations, of course, and all of these different countries that are interested in, interested in participating and joining the BRICS nations. So now, okay, so now let's move on here. And we're going to go to this article here from Morningstar.com. All right. And it's titled, "Could the Fed pause next week? It is not out of the question." Well, listen, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said this in multiple articles that they might pause. Look, if they pause rates, I don't think it'll be good, in my humble opinion. You can disagree, and I agree. We can agree to disagree. They haven't brought inflation down to where they wanted it to be. And not only that, people forget that they injected $400 billion into the economy to save those banks. Now we're having more bank problems, haven't we warned you? People are worried about this one bank that's having problems right now, right? Everybody's reporting on it. But there's not over 200. They said there's anywhere between 190 to 200 banks that are at risk. Keep that in mind. So that's what they're not talking about. But let's read this little tidbit here. Okay, it says economists make case for interest holding rates steady in May while signaling an intention to hike in June. What? Let's keep reading. Could the Federal Reserve pause next week after 9 straight interest rates? What I heard, let me pause there. What Janet Yellen said is that, okay, they probably will do the increase in May and then pause in June. It says economists make case for interest rate. Who are these economists? You have to release some names when you say something like that. Who are they? Because I need to know the gravitas of the words that they're using, of the thoughts that they hold versus Janet Yellen. So, does their word hold as much weight as Janet Yellen's word? You get what I'm saying? Not that I trust any of these external entities, but at least we can get a picture. We can take the average if we know who these individuals are, how reputable they are. But anyway, let's continue on here. Since the idea, which seemed unthinkable to many economists, now seems to be gaining some traction at the start of the week, derivatives markets were priced in at 90% chance of a rate hike next week. Quote, "We think this is too high," said Steve Englander. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to look into you, Mr. Englander. Said Steve Englander, head of North American macro strategy of Standard Chartered. Oh, okay, Standard Chartered. Okay, so it's reputable. All right. My apologies then. Says in a note to clients, quote, "We see strategic as well as tactical reasons for a hawkish pause in May, followed by a hike in June, unless upcoming data confirms that a slowdown is already in place," unquote. Well, remember also, Janet Yellen said that because the banks are tightening lending up, and it seems like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to save their own backsides for now. I mean, don't get me wrong. They had a lot of help from the Fed. But if they're tightening lending that much, which is about to be, it's already pretty bad. It's already pretty bad. But oh, Nelly, it's about to get pretty bad for a lot of small to medium-sized businesses. They tighten up that lending there. Remember, a lot of the banks that are at risk are the ones who lend the most, and they've had to tighten up lending the most. All right, so we'll see how that works. You know, we got to keep an eye on all of these things. You know, listen, and of course, the economy is tied to the bank coins, the rise of the bank coins, the fall of the legacy system, the rise of the bank coins, or if they want to save the legacy system, and they could congeal with the DLTs, as you see all the other countries are doing that, right? Those countries are doing absolutely fantastic, so to speak, but they see the opportunity. They're starting to open the door and embrace the DLTs so they can bring themselves an opportunity. They can move capital a little bit more freely. They can tokenize commodity that loosens up value. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much opportunity there. Correct me if I'm wrong. You could disagree, and I would respect that. You know, not here to convince anybody, just sharing a few thoughts. All right. So we will see if they actually pause. If they pause, it's playtime. People are going to play. They're gonna have a little bit of fun for a short while, but we will see. So to keep this video short, now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. I'll see you all in the evening video as usual. I appreciate every single one of you being here. Hope you're having a good day. So until next time, let's get to the money.